for meaning that might be there. No promises of comfort or bliss, just truths we strive not to dismiss. This is the Finding Gnosis show, where illusions break and deeper truths grow. Philosophy and thought light the way through the dark toward a brighter day. Not endless struggle, but a fight worth the cost, seeking the meaning we thought was lost. Pessimism asks, why even try? We answer with questions reaching the sky. A critique of the systems, the myths we hold, a reflection on truths both stark and bold. Depressive realism clears the haze, while hope takes root in critical gaze. We search for a path, no matter how steep, to find the truths that lay buried deep. This is the Finding Gnosis show, where illusions break and deeper truths grow. Philosophy and thought light the way through the dark toward a brighter day. Not endless struggle, but a fight worth the cost, seeking the meaning we thought was lost. Promise ease, we don't promise rest, but a journey to uncover what's best. In cosmic indifference we still find might, to question, to change and to ignite. Welcome to Finding Gnosis, where truth takes a stand. Together we search, together we understand. Through reflection, critique and bold exploration, we strive for meaning and revelation. The journey begins, the truths will unfold. This is the Finding Gnosis show. Through the cosmic indifference and through despair, we dig for meaning that might be there. No promises of comfort or bliss, just truths we strive not to dismiss. This is the Finding Gnosis show, where illusions break and deeper truths grow. Philosophy and thought light the way through the dark toward a brighter day. Not endless struggle, but a fight worth the cost, seeking the meaning we thought was lost.
Oh, hello there. And we have somebody here who has joined us already. Hello?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Shaker, of course.
Yeah.
Welcome. So this is the Finding Gnosis show, number 4 already. Yeah, there were none, and then suddenly there's like a shitload within the space of a week. And the reason for that is I will not be able to do one for quite a while, I think about a week or so. So it's to get this one out of the way, because there won't be any this weekend, basically, folks, because I'm going to be extremely busy. So we'll get this one out of the way, and then that's all of them done for January already, you know, which I wasn't sure I was going to be able to achieve. But anyway, I've been enjoying these. I've been enjoying these, and we've already got Brother Marcus in the house. Salutations to Brother Marcus, always a pleasure. And Vegan Equilibrium is here, always asking the tough questions. Hard talk, Vegan Equilibrium. And we have got a serial experimentalist here. I believe I know who this is. Hello there.
Hey,
Oh,
what's
okay. Sorry, I thought you were social experimentalist under a different name for a second, but
oh no, I'm a serial experiment Seb.
no, that's okay. That's okay, brother Seb. It's good to have you here. So
Um,
today we were going to, shoot the breeze, talking
yeah,
about what does it mean to be a human, and basically, I mean, it's kind of an open forum, isn't it? You can talk about what you want, but hopefully, I mean, it'd be hard not to, seeing as it's going to be a human talking, but hopefully within the realm of what it is to be a human. So I suppose, given that Shaker of Cause was here first, do you mind if I call you Shaker? Is that okay? Because it's a little bit of a mouthful.
How dare you? You've stolen my childhood.
it's you. I recognize your voice now.
You
Yes,
recognize my voice? I'm a man
this
of
man,
mystery. Yeah,
this
I
man
am the
used to be
mystery
called.
man.
You don't mind me saying, you used to be called Wicked, and you were one of
Yeah.
the. You were actually the first person ever on live streams on this channel. Did you know that? You
No,
were
I
the
didn't know that. That's crazy. Oh
you
my
were.
god.
Yeah. But you don't come that often, but yeah, it's great that you're
And
back.
that's what she said. Yeah.
It's the eternal return. It's
Yes.
happening
Yes.
again. It's happening again. So, Shaker, the question is, what does it mean to be human? And that is an open question, and it's up to you
Yeah.
how you want to answer it.
Yeah. I mean, I think immediately people jump to Homo sapien, and they think in biological terms that we're a species and this kind of thing. And that often doesn't get to the bottom of like other wider things about humanity, right? They're just.
Hmm.
I'm not saying it's too reductionist, because obviously it's informative to study biology,
Right.
and but humans are a lot about what they do, and they form like communities. Like we're chatting right now, they live stream, and they talk about what they are, right? They talk about like philosophical concepts, and I don't know if the birds in the trees sit down and go, "What is a bird?" It's kind of they're doing up there when they're tweeting, they're whistling and
You think
doing all
we're
this stuff.
naturally philosophers, are we?
Yeah, I think we're inquisitive, and we've got this mind that kind of keeps like questioning everything around us endlessly, to the point of madness. Like, what am
Right,
I
right,
doing here? What is it all about?
right. Okay. I just want to before we go to Seb, I want to bring on somebody. There's someone here. I don't know who it is, so I'll bring them on. Hello to, I think it's Sexual Experiment. Is that your name? You're on now, Sexual Experiment. So you're muted, so you can talk if you want to.
That's sexual experimentalist.
Oh, it's we know who this is. We know who this is. Mr. Nick, good to have you with us.
Well, I don't know who that is. This is sexual experimentalist.
Okay, fine. We'll call
Well,
you.
you have serial experiment Seb, sexual experimentalist, shaker of course. I mean,
Yeah, and we've got a sexual experimentalist has a pussy, and I hope that's nothing to do with his sexual experiments. But can we have Seb answer the question then, please? Seb, what is it to be human? What does it mean for you?
what it means to me. Uh, I think it's one of those questions where one can go in in a lot. It can go in a lot of directions, I suppose. So, what it means to be human, I've been asking myself that sometimes, and I found it a coincidence. I guess that that was also the episode.
Okay,
That was
so
was the
you've
episode
been
since
asking
I've been
yourself,
asking myself that.
yeah, what have you've been asking yourself this question? Have you come to any rudimentary conclusions then?
Yeah, so I think it's like a useless question to ask oneself since since how life happens. It happens by how it all unfolds. It's by accident. There's no
You think it's a useless?
rhyme or reason to any of it. It's uh,
Okay,
yes, it doesn't mean anything really.
okay, fair enough. We'll move along then, and we'll come back to that later because that is an interesting perspective. Sexual. What about you? You can unmute yourself there. What does it mean to be human?
Um, you know, I think it's a very arbitrary thing. I guess the very simplest explanation is just a certain, combination of what chromosomes and a certain, genetic code variation. Uh, and I guess generally speaking, we I don't know. We seem to have some characteristics that separate us from other animals, but none that I can say are really morally substantial in terms of how we assign rights. So
Okay, so yeah, because you're the name the trait enthusiast, and it is a very good system. But what about responsibility then? If we don't have any difference in terms of right, we're not any better than other species in terms of right. Uh,
well, I guess humans are probably the only. Well, yeah, as far as we know, we're the only creatures on Earth right now that can conceptualize rights and assigning rights, um, and that could offer palliative care to um, other animals and each other.
right. Okay. To a great degree. I mean, at least we. Are you saying that other animals don't assist dying animals? I mean, they probably don't know that they're dying, do
They may to a certain extent, but not to the
they? Not to the same
ability that
degree.
we can. Yeah,
Yes, yes. No, I agree with you.
and I think that we can. What was I going to say? In a sense, we have the ability to manipulate our environment far more than other animals to a point that could make it extremely better or extremely worse, depending.
Okay. So we have the ability to manipulate our environment to a greater degree than others. I mean, I think that's a fair assessment as well. It's all because of our thumbs, apparently. Um, what was I going to say? And obviously our brains. But okay, so going on then, Shaker, are we good or bad in your view, in our net effect?
Well, I mean, this is a matter of perspective, right? I was talking about how humans are kind of inquisitors, and they kind of quiz themselves and examine the world around them. And it comes back to the definition, like, well, what is the good? We end up asking that. I know it's well, what is the what? You know what I mean? It goes back, keep going back, you know. But it comes back to what good for who, right? I mean, one of the issues I have with a lot of environmentalists who want to protect the environment, I'm like, well, who are you protecting the environment for? I mean, if you're not protecting it for humans, or who are you protecting it for? So, I mean, good in the sense that we're helping ourselves, we've got our own interest at heart. Yeah, I think humans can be good. We can also be bad. I think we're dualistic. There's the duality of man, if you will. Between
Mm,
the good and the bad. I think that we're both. I think we're both good and bad.
both good and bad. But if you had to pick a side, a net effect, what would you say it is? Or would you say it's a dualistic net effect as well?
Um, I just don't have enough information to determine it. Like, I have never really thought about it. I'd like to think that humans are good, because otherwise I
Hmm.
just fall into misanthropy, and kind of
Mhm.
oh well, nothing's ever going to work out, and it's all point. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that doesn't. I don't know if that's building things. I mean, they can build. Insecurity can build. Some security, right? Like I mean, uh, resentment can lead somewhere because you can voice your kind of animosity, and other people will react to that. But ultimately, I like to be on Team Humanity. I like to be a philanthrope, I guess, instead of a misanthrope.
Philanthropic, yes. Okay, that's an interesting and a well thought out answer on the hoof. Fair play. We got Seb here next. Seb, the same question to you, I suppose, from a starting point in this discussion. The net effect of humanity. What do you think it is? Is it good or bad?
Uh, so I think it's bad since humanity it carries an asterisk where it can induce a lot of harm that can be a lot worse with the development of AI and also what they do to the mini brains. That stuff can go very bad, so I don't like what that is doing. But so there's also the fact that humans might terraform other planets. So if it wasn't for that, I'd say that I don't know. But there's the chance that humans can cause asterisks to happen.
Okay. Okay, and Mr. I was going to say call you something else there, but I'll have to stick to petrol. What about you? What about you and your outlook for humanity? Is it what is the net effect of humanity in this universe?
Uh, I don't know. I think
Yes.
it's. I think we have the potential to. We have the potential to make things a lot better, if possible. I don't know if it'll happen, but some things have gotten better.
Okay.
A lot of things have gotten worse, but um, we might, as a whole, we might get our head out of our asses at some point and realize how good we could have it.
Right. And how do you think that could happen? I mean, what's going to inspire people? Do you think? Do you think it's going to be they have to experience some pain for the next change?
Honestly,
Because I've
yeah, I mean, maybe. Honestly, I think there would have to be some kind of benevolent dictatorship.
a benevolent dictatorship. Okay. Um, that's interesting. And would that be human or would it be AI, for example?
I don't know.
You don't know. No, that's fair enough. I mean, not knowing is an honest answer. There's too much, there's so much information to go through that it's hard to know anything, isn't it? Divine Hazel asked me to engage the closed caption button. Some of these guests speak in an accent. It's not always, she said, you're not speaking loud enough, guys, basically. So if you're speaking, please speak loudly. Also, if you're not speaking, can you mute yourself so that other people can be heard? Because sometimes there's a little bit of feedback. Um, so I suppose if we're going to analyze what it is to be human, I suppose we have to look at our history, guys. And historically speaking, what do you think the effect of being human has illuminated to us uh, uh, in regards to what being human is? I mean, I don't know if any of you are avid historians, but if you look at the historical effect of us, what do you think history shows us that being human means, for example, or is? We'll go to Shaker again, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that we can see humanity doesn't have fangs, claws. We don't have built-in machine guns or anything, or like a stinger, like a bee or a wasp or anything like that. And we have to kind of build these tools, as we're
Can you
exploring the
speak a bit
world.
louder? Sorry, I was going to call you Wicked there because that was your old name, but Shaker. Can you speak a bit
Yeah, I
louder?
can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a bit better. Thank you.
Yeah, I was saying humans don't have fangs or claws. We're relatively small in comparison to a bear or a lion or something like this. You know, we weigh somewhere around 200 pounds or so. You know, we're not like ginormous. I mean, the biggest of us get to like 400 pounds. Some of the, giant ones get to like 600 or something. You
I
know,
was talking historically, for the historical effect of us. So, what does history show us about humanity? I'm just looking at the past. Yeah.
yeah, we've got these tools. We've got, like you mentioned, opposable thumbs.
Okay.
You know, we're examining the world around us and encountering dangers, things that are a threat to us, and then we have to kind of conquer all of those. And we've pretty much conquered all of the creatures on all of the continents in the world. You know, to like an absurd degree, right? We've got nuclear bombs. They have like claws and teeth, right? You know, we've got like intercontinental ballistic missiles.
We've
We've
got
got
mRNA
landmines.
vaccines.
Sorry.
I said we've got vaccines.
Exactly,
uh,
exactly, to
yeah,
destroy the
well,
bacteria. And we've
yeah.
got antibiotics, right? I mean, like we're just examining the world and trying to create security. Um, so what it tells us is that we're kind of conquerors and explorers,
Okay.
and this has kind of run into an issue because we've already explored most of the world, and we're kind of starting to kind of maybe get into space a little bit. We've got a few rovers on Mars. Humanity's been to the moon in the past. There's the International Space Station. But to explore further is getting more and more difficult. When we can't even do it ourselves, we need to send out drones and that kind of thing. Ultimately, I think it shows us as explorers. We've expanded to the ends of the earth.
Okay. So we're. I like what you defined us as explorers and conquerors. Okay. And Mr. Seb, what about you then, from a historical perspective? What are humans? What does history show us in this
Um,
regard?
yeah, I guess humans went.
And if you could speak as loudly and as clearly as possible for the listeners, I'm saying that to everybody, not just you.
Humans went from, I guess, hunter gatherers. They were mixed with like Neanderthals. Not that might be relevant, but maybe not in this monologue. And then I guess humans they yeah, as Shaker said, they didn't have all those claws and current machine guns or anything. Uh, they could be equipped with like on their bodies, but what they did had was cognition. So they could learn through other people's mistakes, and they could learn through their own mistakes, and they could use the best of. Somebody could invent things,
Okay,
and
so
through that it.
that's interesting. So what I've got so far from you guys is we're explorers, conquerors. We're learners by observation and obviously by experience.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that the underlying thing is in an effort to survive. So we're kind of just trying to survive, like all life, I suppose. We'll move on to sexual. Sexual. What do you think that history shows us in regards to what it is to be human, what it means to be human?
Humans are chimps.
Humans are
Humans are
chimps.
humans are like chimps and bonobos.
Yeah,
We're
a
just
hybrid.
we're just another ape, you know.
Okay,
And
you say that, and what does that mean? I mean, what's the connotations of that? Is that a bad thing? I mean, what does that mean?
I don't know. It just means that we have basically a lot of similarities to them. According to one researcher I watched, and I don't know how true this is, but according to this guy I watched, that he said one thing that we have that apes can't really be taught or understand is like acting.
Mimicry.
Not necessarily mimicry, but like doing a play. This
Right.
guy said like the chimp could not understand why we would be like, they don't understand the concept of doing something like that for entertainment. They would just perceive it to be like that it's we actually mean whatever we're doing.
Okay.
You know.
Fair enough. Vegan. Equilibrium. Sorry. What about the historical perspective, though? I mean, that's all very good. I mean, that's a kind of evolutionary perspective, but historically speaking, do you think there's any kind of example of what we are to be derived from what we've done, or the records of what we've done?
I guess I don't know, like, I mean, we build a lot of interesting tools and structures, and you know, we sort of conquer our environment, wipe out a lot of predator species and other fauna. Sort of, I don't know, humans are constantly trying to, you know, manipulate their environment so much that, to a degree, you know, I guess we're kind of too smart for we've been too smart for our own good in certain ways, in a way that ends up harming us, kind of.
Okay. So you brought up an interesting idea that, yeah, we are tool makers, and I think that is definitely a reason why we have been apparently so successful, is our ability to manipulate not only our environment but create tools to do it. And even now, I mean, we create tools that are not even tangible. We create software tools, to deal with information. We're amazing from that perspective. So we're tool makers, we're conquerors, explorers, and sorry, Seb, you said something else as well. We're what was that you said, Seb?
Yeah, I felt like I didn't really get going.
Okay.
Something about learning or something like.
Oh yeah, we're learners. We're learners. That was it. We're
We're
learners.
like migrators too.
Well, that would be kind of like the exploring, I suppose, related to that. We're travelers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you didn't get going, Seb. So feel free to, start your engine again and rev up.
Yes, so there are some sort of games that I guess where it enables where knowledge enables progress. So it isn't through like the increase of strength or through increase of agility or speed that necessarily makes humans that much better. It's combining the tools that the smartest innovators has been able to invent. It's to use that and then groups they can co-join together and then use the tools of the smartest innovators, and then in that way they do level they do level up.
Right.
I guess some would say, but then again, it can be to the detriment of the individual.
Okay. I mean, I'm just thinking now, guys. I think we're very imaginative. I think I can't actually. Obviously, I have no evidence for this, but I would theorize that we have a tendency to think more beyond our reality than other animals. Okay, I know
Well,
dogs can.
that's where that whole acting thing comes in.
Yeah, yeah, the ability to think beyond what is in front of you. And I mean, I think that's definitely something about being human because I know my dog dreams, for example, when he sleeps, he kicks his legs and stuff, and you can hear him yelping. But I mean, I don't know, but I don't imagine he's dreaming about sci-fi or anything like that. I think he's probably dreaming about normal everyday occurrences. And I mean, I just have this suspicion that it's our imagination that sets us apart, and like it's the kind of there's a spectrum of imagination, isn't there? There's like an imagination that's helpful, and then there's an imagination that's leads you into what is deemed insanity by others. So we're all somewhere on that spectrum where we're able to creatively, think about things beyond what is occurring in front of us, and that's, I suppose, the ultimate thing about being human, because we're able to think about concepts beyond what is happening in front of us. And that allows us to make tools. That allows us to think there's something out there to go to explore, to get over a hurdle that we're facing. So yeah, I think we're very imaginative. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that ties back to the storytelling. You know, we survived by creating these stories around the people who invented things, like serial experiments. Seb said, and the acting, I think, is part of storytelling. Like I think Shakespeare said, "All the world is a stage, and we're merely players," or something like that.
Hmm.
So I think that the storytelling, the imagination, is a huge part of it. I mean, if we think back to before paper was around, people would take some facts and transform them into theatrical kind of stories, and they would go on and tell really long stories in narration for hours and hours and hours. And this is the basis for the World Memory Championships, where people memorize 20, 30 decks of cards in 1 hour, or a 3,000 digit number in 1 hour. So this
That's an
imagination
interesting.
allows us to improve our own abilities.
Yes, yes. You also you've raised something else interesting now, and that's memory. And all these things obviously are very important aspects of humans. We do have this ability to memorize, but I know other animals do as well. I mean, I've seen experiments of chimps. They have an amazing working memory. Like their short-term
Yeah.
memory of remembering symbolism, that they can like point out the kind of order that symbols appear. If you flash, and they can do it very quickly. So if you flash like say 2 seconds of a picture in front of them with different symbols in different positions, like a pattern, they're able to afterwards put the symbols in that pattern in order to attain a reward, for their actions. Um, but is there anything in regards to, I suppose, our memory, guys, that you've read about or you think might be different or might be, I don't want to use the word superior, but you might be something that might be meaningful as to why we are what we are?
Well, I think it goes back to what you said about abstract thinking. We have an ability to, think of things that other animals can't, and that ties in with our memory and allows us to build plans that are more abstract. Like we have fantasy worlds, we have characters like Superman and his dog Crypto, and we have the Wizard of Oz, and we have unicorns and all this kind of thing. We have all of these kind of imaginary creatures that could never exist, right? Like I mean, I don't think we're going to ever have a man who can shoot lasers out of his eyes. So I think that that's a significant part. We can imagine things that have never existed and will never exist, but there's things in between there that we've managed to create. That has facilitated our tool making. Like we created like a catapult, or we created like.
Jaker, you're wrong about the laser eye thing. Trump is going to make it happen.
Oh, okay. You're probably right about that. I mean,
Yeah, my screen, I've just suffered the screen of Black Death here, so I can't actually see my screen right now, guys. So you can keep talking. I can hear you though, but I'm just going to try and ring the IT help desk to fix it. So if you want to keep talking, guys, for a second,
Maybe it was always like that. And you just don't remember. I mean, use abstract
maybe.
thinking. Okay.
Maybe I'm
Wiggle the
just
screen a
imagining
little
you
bit.
all. Maybe I'm just imagining this live stream is happening. It's not really happening.
Yeah, it's all
You
a
are
mess.
hallucinating it. You're with your brain. Your brain is making a hallucination of it.
Maybe maybe the thing is, maybe we're all sexual. Maybe none of us exist, and it's all just sexual sitting on his sofa, and yeah, it's all just his imagination. So I will get my stream working in a moment. If anybody is making comments, I'm sorry. If you do want to come on here, please, try to, and I will let you on as soon as I've got my screen showing again here on my side. But in the meantime, we are having a fun conversation. As it's light-hearted, it's not meant to be too. I say we're not holding anyone to account for what they're saying too much here.
Lives are at stake. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if
So
the stream doesn't go well, okay, these 5 people on these train tracks, I could pull this lever right now.
oh,
Okay.
okay. Well, you bring up a new idea here. Are we kind of beings obsessed with dilemmas, or are we kind of more kind of prone? I suppose because of our imagination, it opens us up to, more trolley problems. More, as I said, other animals seem to focus on what is happening in front of them, and we seem to focus on the tangential kind of correlated possibilities. Do you know?
Yeah, I
From
mean, yeah, I think religions like Buddhism are about being present in the moment, which is so difficult for humans, right? Like we're always aware with the birds, we're up in the clouds, our head is in the
why do you think that
stars in
is?
the sky. Sorry? Can you hear me? And
I can
our
hear
head is
you,
always
but I don't think DNW can hear you. I think his head must be up in the clouds.
yes.
Sorry, I can hear you now, but keep talking, guys. If you can't hear me, just know that I'm having IT problems. But these IT problems are going to be fixed for the next stream because I'll be back
Sure.
home. But yeah, so just please be rock and rollers and keep the show on the road. If I'm having technical failure.
You
So
must
yeah.
you must kill the dragon, slay the dragon. Okay, that is the
All
IT
right.
problems. Okay.
I just
Well, sorry. Go ahead, Seb. You said.
I just realized something about the question, the motive behind it, why anybody would ask themselves this question.
Go on.
Is anyone really looking to obtain some sort of bleak answer that a human is just like a primate, a bunch of crap in the universe that produces harm? I don't think that's the answer people are looking for, even though uh, that's probably true. I think when people ask this sort of question, they want to be inspired by something. I guess so what's inspiring like about being human? I guess it's I guess there's a lot of these underdogs like like Iraqi or people who don't take shit from anybody, and then
Okay.
nobody believes in them, but
Okay.
they decide to overcome the obstacles
Right.
anyway. A
I
human
mean,
said,
Seb, for one moment, brother. I'm back now. Um, from a historical perspective, I think it goes back to what Shaker was saying earlier, and you've all said this to some degree: is the dualistic nature of reality. We are those chimps and bobos, Babina, what are they called again? Sorry, the um, those more kind of the chimps that are matriarchal.
Bonobo.
What are they again?
Bonobos.
Bonobos. Yeah, that's right. Bonobos. Yeah. So we are a kind of species of duality. We're love and hate. We're psychopaths and empaths, I suppose. We're masters and slaves. We're masculine, feminine. We're all these different, I suppose, partnerships that are in friction with each other, yet in some way cause each other to be at the same time. You know, and cause each other to at least to function. Um, and I suppose we are just a a mad big bag of all different crazy shit. All just rolling along. And yeah, maybe Seb is right. Maybe we're trying to ascribe meaning to something that is meaningless, and maybe we are just over-evolved chimps.
What's philosophy? Let's dance.
Fuck philosophy. Let's dance. Is that what you said? Feel free to dance, but please don't do it on camera tonight because you might take away from my viewership. They might be disoriented or distracted, I suppose. But what was I going to say then? I suppose presently, what does it mean to be human? I mean, we've tried to delve into the historical aspect. I mean, we didn't really delve into the history. We just talked about a little bit, I suppose, about anthropology and evolution, psychology, and stuff. We didn't really get into historical evidence, archaeology, or anything like that. But how and ever, it is just chilling out here, so it doesn't matter. But presently, guys, I mean, what do you think it is to be human? Shall we'll go with you then. Presently, what do you think it means to be human now in January 2025? Shaker, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that you called on me. Sorry.
Did
Can
you
you
hear?
hear me
Did you hear
okay?
my question? Yeah. Did you hear my question? What does it
What
mean
does
to
it
be
mean to be
human
human today?
presently, today, in 2025, January 2025? What does it mean to be human?
Well, I think it goes back to, I mean, I don't know how much it's changed. I mean, humans are musicians. I mean, they're, I don't want to define people by their job, but they do, a wide range of activities. They have all sorts of things. Being human means, being a friend, being a partner, being an enemy. It means all kinds of contradictory and complementary things. So it's not like I can, it's such a vast quantity of things I can't list them all.
Right.
Um, it's just a multitude of things, I guess.
Fair enough. Seb, have you got any thoughts on what it means to be human in January 2025,
Uh,
present day?
uh, yeah, I guess to give some kind of correct answer, I could make like a list, like that would include like work or beliefs or being a friend or or stuff like that. But then that's a stuff that everybody already knows, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I was more thinking, is there anything about the present day that is unique to the human experience, or even like just more kind of evident than it ever was before,
yeah.
more pressing on the human experience than ever before, perhaps? Whatever.
Yeah, I got something. There was actually on episode 3, there was something I was going to say, but I didn't get a chance to do it.
Okay, well,
Now
you're
I'll
back
say
now.
it here instead. Yeah, human beings, they have many calls to actions from all sorts of movements, like be it like veganism or antinatalism or environmentalism. There's so many calls for actions, and one just happens to be like stuck in one of them by chance due to limited synaptic plasticity and pruning. One just gets stuck in one of these things.
one
And
of
then
the ways
what
of,
happens
yeah.
then? What happens then in order to take the call for action to change the world? One has to have enough sympathy in order to care about what's going on. But then, yeah, the more sympathy one has, the more one tries to do more and more. But if one just has too much sympathy, I believe people would be forced to walk away from the harm willingly, since they know what it would entail. I guess they know it would break them if they took on the full responsibility.
Okay, Seb, thank you for that. Sexual, what about you then? What does it mean to be human in the present day? Is there anything about the present day that is particularly pressing on the meaning or the effect of being human?
Means being extremely materialistic.
You think that's more evident in the present day? Okay, would you like to elaborate on that statement?
We've gotten, well, at least in the Western countries, we've gotten very used to having all of our stuff when, I don't know, I think humans used to be able to have a lot less, humans had a lot less attachment to things at one point. I feel like they were able to survive and be happy with less because they were more nomadic and more, well, you just didn't have access to stuff. So you didn't get desensitized and used to having access to stuff. Now it's like, you know, I think it's kind of the same way with like food. Like, you know, now we're in this environment where we don't have to worry about famine. So we haven't outgrown that survival adaptation to like store energy really easily. And so everybody gets obese, you know? We still have that genetic adaptation, and we want to like, so, and makes us, when we have access to food, we want to eat it, you know? And then there's no period of famine, so we don't shut it off. And so it requires this new kind of discipline to try and deny ourselves, which is really hard. Because we used to have to walk around. We used to have to walk around and work a lot to get our energy. We had to expend energy to get energy, you know, and it's the same thing with things, you know. An object was something that took like time and precision and craftsmanship, and you know, we really revered and admired craftsmen of the past that made little pots and things and statues, because we're like, you know, that took them time and energy and resource, and that they didn't have as much back then. So, but now you can just go on Amazon and click and get all kinds of shit delivered to your door, and gets, yeah. So
I would agree. The one thing about the shopping experience, I think I've found is, I don't know whether it's because I'm getting older now or what, but it's probably related to the mass consumerism that has just exploded in my lifetime. And
yeah,
that
I mean, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say I don't feel as joyful when I hold something I've just bought as I used to. You know, when I was younger, like I used to buy something and I worked for it and I bought it, and it was like, oh wow, you know, I've got this. This is exciting. But now it's just, oh, it's a thing. It's got some utility that I need, and it's like it's nothing amazing. Or if there's either that, it's just something essential, a necessity that I need. So it's nothing to be excited about. Or it's something I don't need, and I feel guilty about buying it because I bought something. I try to be a minimalist, but I often fail, and I buy things on impulse because I think I'm a bit of a gadget kind of enthusiast, and I buy something for the kitchen or for the home that I think is going to make my life easier. And obviously, sometimes it's not necessary, and in actual fact, it's detrimental to my well-being because, these gadgets in the kitchen. I mean, they you could just chop the fucking onion. You don't have to get something that grinds it into a million pieces. I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, there's something lost. I think you've come on an interesting point there,
Yeah.
sexual. There's something lost in our kind of artisanry. Like we're not doing things for the love of it anymore. The craft. We're
Yeah.
not getting satisfaction from making and doing things. I think that's a present day phenomenon of being human. Yeah.
I think this.
Everybody should get to have. It's like the attitude becomes like everybody should get to have one almost. It's not quite there yet, but you know, mass production of things is I don't know. It takes away
No,
from a lot of it.
there is a fight back. There is a fight back. There is a fight back.
Go ahead.
There is a fight back. I mean, minimalism. I mean, I do see it kind of growing a little bit, and also we have these kind of apps in where I am in London. We have apps for reusing things, for borrowing things, and we also have things like carpooling. I mean, there's like bike schemes where we have those electric bikes and pedal powered bikes that people can rent. I mean, there are other sides to consumerism I would see as good.
It's
There are
like
ways.
it's like the clothing thing. Like, why are why are people coming out with like a new season? Why is anyone allowed to do that at this point? Why are we allowed to produce plastic? This is all, and dude. I'm a hypocrite. I'm a big hypocrite
I know.
because I have a clothing brand, but it's like it's an addiction. It's
Well, it's
when I
it's
was
the
when I was
business.
brought up, when I was brought up and I was brought
Yeah.
up in the clothing industry, and my old boss and mentor, we would talk about the addiction or addictive aspect of the whole thing. He would say, the addiction is what drives the business.
Yes, yes. I think he was right. I think he was right. I think it drives a lot of business. I just want to move on to Just Skeptical. Just Skeptical, you're new tonight. I think it's JE, but just Skeptical. Quickly, do you want to say what you think being human is, first of all, and then perhaps delve into what it means to be human in January 2025? What does it mean to be human in the present day, particularly?
Um, well, in my estimation, I would say it means to be a pretty self-contradictory being, a very paradoxical being that's stuck between two opposing uh, dualistic forces at all times. Like you guys were talking about, good and evil, depression and happiness, uh, and all the other ones you can think of. But I would also say, though, that it leans in saying that we the dualities lean more towards the negative side than the positive side. I would say, and
Can you explain
I
why
would
that
say
is?
that
Why that is?
because that it's just the way it is. I don't know why, but like that's just the way the
Or
nature is designed,
how
and we
that's
as being
evident?
part of nature.
Maybe not why, but how is that evident in your view?
Um, I would say it's evident because of the fact that um, yeah, I don't know. Once you experience like enough of the world and observe enough humans, at least from my point of view, that's how I've seen it. Because um, when I observe how a lot of people operate, I feel like if it leans more towards the negative side of the polarity than the positive one. That's the best way I can describe it. And in 2025, I would say to be human means that uh, to be human in 2025, I would say that it means that we're basically just repeating history. Like we're creatures of habit, and part of that is just repeating history and repeating what's already been done, but just in another form. And
Okay.
so, for example, in America, for example, Trump got reelected after being out of office for a while, and so history is repeating itself in that sense. And there's wars going on, there's diseases making
So
people
basically,
sick and
suffering.
whatnot. Yeah, essentially, it's basically just a cycle of suffering, just repeating history again and again,
Okay.
essentially.
Well, I have to say, just skeptical. That's a fantastically articulated answer. Thank you very much. We'll move on now to escapism. Escapism. You are new here tonight, so I'll allow you to give a brief definition in your view of what it means to be human, and then please do give us an elaboration of what it means to be human in the present day, January 2025.
Okay, so you mean like to be human in general, and then to be human in the present day? That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. No, for me, like to be human, the thing is like because I only really have one answer. Like my definition of what it means to be human and to be human in 2025, in a broader sense, isn't that really different? Because like I don't know, like I feel like to be human, whether it's 2025 or 1925, is to just be put here without your consent, to suffer, maybe inflict some suffering on others, go through the motions and then die. Like I don't know. I don't feel like it's any different in 20. So like to say 2025, I mean it's just like a different, as like just skeptical said, it's like a different form. Obviously maybe you're suffering now because I don't know, like your rent has gone up double and the cost of living crisis or whatever, but like and the base root of it, like obviously 100 years ago, you'd be in, I don't know, the middle of just coming out of World War I or something. I don't know, like so it's like there'll be different situations that would leave you basically screwed. And so like the actual base, like the root of what is happening, which is suffering, is the same. But like ultimately, obviously the situations they change a little bit, but like ultimately it stays the same. So like I don't know, like it's not really too much different. It's just the same shit again and again, to be honest. But yeah.
Okay, that's Mr. Dark Pessimist has entered the chat, and you've articulated that view very well. Thank you very much, Escapism. Now, I don't want anyone else to butt in. Let Escapism answer. Escapism, do you think humans suffer more than other animals or other species?
They suffer in the sense that, like, okay, yes and no. In the physical sense, I would say that humans, like, if you compare it to like a baboon in the wild who has to be exposed to the rain and has to hunt for his food and stuff like that, then I would probably say that humans, well, especially like first world humans who like can Uber eats their food and shit, like, and like have a warm bed and stuff, I wouldn't say they physically suffer more, but because humans are like more intelligent, and like they have a more of a, well, I'm not saying humans are all intelligent and they all have a conscience, but like on average they have more of a conscience and intelligence than like a baboon. And so like they realize they're suffering more, and there's more ways that humans can suffer, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like they get themselves into a whole lot more problems that than like, let's say, a baboon doesn't get into, you know what I mean, in their life. So I don't know, it's yes and no.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have, sorry, Mo Wisdom. Mo Wisdom, welcome to the show. You're muted currently. You can unmute yourself. The same questions for you, I suppose.
What's up,
Uh,
BMW? How you doing?
how you doing, brother? So yeah, same question. I mean, in general, what does it mean to be human? And then more particularly, what does it mean to be human in the present day, January 2025? The zeitgeist of what it is to be human.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. So, to be human in general, in a general sense, I would say it's just an integration between the material realm and the material. And what I mean by material is simply like the metaverse, the unseen, what you cannot necessarily explain, but you know it exists. For instance, a soul. In 2025, I would say that's going to be more so the integration of the material the METARIAL. We saw this first in 2020 with the C-19 trying to keep everyone indoors. They didn't want people to evolve essentially. 2023 was kind of the midway point, and I believe 2025 is going to be another rise of the increase of the material.
Wow, you've come onto the field, brother, and played a blinder because you've given a unique presentation there, and I'd have to say, I'll have to ask you to go a little bit deeper into that because on first hearing, it's a little bit hard to take in, and I want to give you full respect for vocalizing your views. So, can you give us a little bit more of an elaboration on what it means to be human in general? I mean, I think am I right to say you mentioned there's spiritual elements to it? I mean, you're the first one to mention a kind of spiritual element here. Did you mention a kind of something spiritual, right? There's something to do with the immaterial and the material.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
I
well, can
did.
you elaborate on that, please? Because you're the first one to bring that up, so that's interesting.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So I use the example of us having souls. Like we can't physically prove that we have a soul, but intuitively, I think we can all agree that we do have one. And same with God. You can't necessarily prove that God exists, but we all somewhat agree that there is a God. And
I don't.
Yeah, we
that's a
don't. We don't. Unfortunately, Mo Wisdom. I mean, I personally am more and more moving towards that. I think there is something beyond the veil. I definitely do think there's something beyond the veil of our understanding, and I think I don't. But I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think there's something more. Let's just say profound. There's something more meaningful
It
behind
depends
the
what you mean
veil.
by God. Wait, I just want to say, it depends what you do. You mean like a God, as in like the Abrahamic God, like of the Muslim and Christian, or do you just mean like a supernatural being? I don't. What do you mean by God? That's what I was confused about. When you say everyone knows a God is real, like
okay.
Well, soul.
Let's say this. Let's say there's a creator. I like to use God as a medium, for people to understand. But there's a creator, hence as why we're existing at this very moment. So if something was able to create us, then it must know us better than ourselves, right? And what I mean by being a human down here and having that innate understanding and intuitive understanding that the spiritual essence and the material essence is no different from the yin and yang. They're both one half of each other. Together they make one. It's the masculine energy with the feminine energy. And when you combine those two, you're able to manifest, right? You can bring things into this reality. Now, I
You
understand
make
this might be a little bit more of a advanced theory. Who knows? I'm not sure. I'll get better as the time goes by. But what I can say at this moment is start there between the material and the spiritual, or the materials, I like to call it, and you might
okay,
find more synchronicity. Go ahead, DNW.
Mo Wisdom, brother. You've kind of given as I say I genuinely am interested in what you're saying, but I'm finding it hard to take it in because it's quite a you seem to have this unique I mean I can see elements of like Gnosticism, Christianity perhaps, etc. In your view, even maybe even like Wiccan because you've got the divine masculine, divine feminine, all this, but you've got a lot going on there in your mind. But can you kind of explain what the point you personally believe or for human being is?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so. There's three things. There's the heaven, the earth, and then there's man. Right. So you have an energetic blueprint that's designed within heaven, and that I like to refer to that as metaphysics. Then you have your blueprint and act, or your decisions that you can make down here on earth, and that's more like physics, not metaphysics, but physics down here. You can prove that with logic. Metaphysics is something you can't necessarily understand, but when you learn how to understand it, it's still logic. It's just the unseen logic. So I believe
Yeah,
human beings are simply a combination of heaven, earth, and free will.
Wait,
You
sorry.
have
Wow.
Wait, are you, I wanted to ask, do you follow a religion? Like, what, or are you atheist? Are you agnostic? Or, like, what are you? Just to get, uh,
I'm a truth seeker, man. I'm a student of life. I'll put it as simple as that. I like to look into many books that have wisdom. So, and what I've seen the correlation between each of these books is they're typically saying the same thing, but in different tongues. And there's wisdom, and then there's also deception, because you got to keep in mind a lot of these books have been touched by man, and man does have an ego, which can be referred to as a epigenetic overlay. I heard that recently by Samuel Lee. I like that term. So when man uses his ego, it can kind of put a blinder on what the actual reality is of that per of the outcome or each encounter throughout life. You know, it's case by case. Some people say there's one Earth, but there's hundreds and billions of worlds depending on where you're perceiving this Earth. Now, personally, for me, again, I'm just a student of life. It's not my wisdom, but I have it, and I like to just dive deeper into the concept of truth.
Right. Okay, brother.
Mo,
Listen.
I want to ask a couple questions to
No,
Mo.
yeah, but before you do, sexual, I just want to say to Mo Wisdom, thanks for coming on. I mean, a lot of us on this channel, me included, right? I don't know for sure, but I am skeptical, very skeptical about free will. For me, it looks like we don't have free will; that we're kind of being forced to experience this reality. And it seems to me that there's drivers beyond our control that are causing us to do what we do and say what we say and feel what we feel. And it does to me look like a reality that perhaps it had a prime mover, okay? And that prime mover, for example, knocked over dominoes, and those dominoes just keep falling, and something else causes something to happen. And it just seems like there isn't really any agency in the individual in terms of that can be said to be within their control, ultimately within their control, that is free. I mean, I believe most of us are pretty much, we're kind of very heavily skeptical. We lean more towards perhaps there isn't free will, but I have to admit, I hope there is. I hope there is. I hope there is an element of free will somewhere that we can all utilize to break free from a possible deterministic fate otherwise, you know. I just want to let you know that, Mo Wisdom. So, Sexual, would you like to go ahead and say something there? And then I would be interested in hearing anybody just, you know, interact with good faith with Mo Wisdom, and we'll have a little chat, you know?
Yeah, I'm wondering, does this rhetoric really get you laid, man? No, I'm just playing. No, I have a real question. Uh, is there a replicable experiment with a measurable, or okay, is there an experiment with replicable and measurable outcome that you can show us for anything that you're saying? Provide evidence for anything that you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the calculations I like to use is one of it's called BOTC, and what that means is 8 pillars. And you probably have heard of people going around saying, "Hey, what year were you born in?" And for instance, let's say 1989 happens to be the year of the snake. Now, that may hold relevance to someone, and it may not. But if it does pique your curiosity, then we can go down the rabbit hole. And what I mean by that is this earth is composed of 5 elements: wood, metal, water, fire, and earth in the Chinese cipher. And depending on where you are and how things are conducted at the right time, you can get ahead in this matrix. Because yes, there is that belief that it seems as if free will is not within the hand of the beholder. However, I saw a chat in the live chat right now that said spirituality pretty much comes in when failure occurs, and that's the beauty of it. You don't know how bright the light shines until you're in the darkness, right?
Well, it's called God of the Gaps, but I'm sorry, you named an experiment. What was it called?
It's called BAZI, BAZI.
And what is it? Like,
This is
how do I look it
Do
up?
you want to? Did you
Where's
want to?
it
Do you want to
recorded?
share that? Do you want to present that, Mo Wisdom? If you can find that experiment and anything written down about it, as long as it's legal, you can
yeah,
share it.
yeah.
Well,
So,
I don't mind.
what is I want to know what is the experiment, like how it's conducted, and what is it actually trying to prove? What's the hypothesis that it's trying to prove?
How to make the most out of life. We're trying
Well,
to we're trying to grow and reap the fruits of our labor without having to quote unquote pay too much in taxes, right? You want to get as much as you can out of this life without having to give back.
well, this sounds like an MLM kind of thing you're talking about now. I'm asking about this. What is your evidence for God and a soul and any of the spiritual, metaphysical, woo-woo stuff you're talking about? Like, what is the experiment that has produced the evidence, the replicable, measurable outcome that is evidence for any of that?
That's a bit subjective, man. You can't really prove that. You would have to
Well,
experience.
that's why that's my point. That's why,
that's his. Yeah, that Mo
yeah.
Wisdom. That is why sexual, for example, isn't going to sing in your choir because this man wants evidence. Now, what do you say to people who want material evidence? They want something they can empirically say, "Oh yeah, that's the truth," and that spiritual stuff you're talking about, it's provable. They want that.
You know, I understand down here in Earth, in certain groups, people prefer to see things with their two eyes. But for instance, you can't see the air, and we know that oxygen exists. Yes, there's molecules you can look
But you can
into in
prove
this
oxygen
air.
exists though.
Right, you can.
Yeah, there's actual experiment that has a replicable, measurable outcome to show that. That's the whole thing.
So
We followed scientific method, and it allows us to actually reproduce the same results. That turns it from a hypothesis into a theory.
I
copy
mean,
But
that.
yeah, gravity, you can't
if
see
you're
gravity
there, do
either,
you
but
like?
there's science. Like, you know what I mean? It's not about whether you can see it or not. It's about whether someone has actually proven that it's real or not. Like,
It has
obviously, not
like a
every
replicable
aspect of
outcome.
the earth, not
Guys, will
every
you like
aspect of
and share the
earth.
stream? Like and share the stream so we can get more people involved. That would be good. Thank you.
She
But
just
yeah, no, it's
invited a
about
couple
like
people.
there's a lot of aspects of the world and human life that can't be seen, but have still been proven because of scientific experiments, etc., etc. You know what I mean? Like there's it's not about whether you can see or feel or taste it. You know what I mean? It's about whether you know it's there or not because it's been proven that it's there. You know what I mean? Whether
That's
versus whether you just like believe that it's there or you want it to be there or you are hoping it's there or you have a
Like
window. You know what I mean? Like it's different.
for example, you're talking about air. You can actually measure air. You can weigh it. You can actually measure the particle. There is a way that they can actually look at the particles. There's there's different light wave. I think maybe it's forms of light that allow you to see it. I'm not sure, but I know that they can weigh it. They can use things to determine what the composition of the air is. There's actual ways to analyze that. All the stuff you're talking about, there's no way to produce a replicable outcome or
That's
to
not
analyze
necessarily
it.
true as well, though, because you gotta understand, man's number one fault is arrogance in today's age, and
Oh, well,
you sound
that's a convenient
well. I'll say
response.
this because the ego, what I meant beforehand, your ego is telling you that you must see it with these two eyes for it to be real. But if you were to talk to a heart surgeon, and when they remove the heart from the patient, and somehow, some way, this individual that no longer has a heart was able to come back to life after changing the heart, What do you think about that? What does that mean to you?
It means that they figured out how to preserve like the organs and supply oxygen to the organs while they transplant a heart. I mean, what do you? I don't know what you're trying to say, dude.
Okay,
Like,
so if the surgeon was able to convey to you that there is a soul and what is actually being done is beyond physics and logic,
but it's
would that
not.
change
It's
your
not beyond
perception?
physics.
But they're the one with the experience. They're the one conducting the heart surgery. You're not as versatile as them,
Well,
right?
because they
Or
went
skilled.
to school and learned how to keep someone alive while they take their heart out. Like there is a physical science to it.
All right, guys. Mo Wisdom, can you instill in us a kind of no, let's just say, can you describe your kind of spiritual experience? I mean, I don't think we're going to get anywhere materially speaking about your spiritual experience. I personally don't think it can be proven one way or the other. But can you at least explain to us your first significant spiritual experience, and then maybe the most immense spiritual experience you've ever had?
You're asking for me to explain what? Just I want to make sure I answer the question correctly.
Sorry, yeah, I want you to first of all explain to me your first ever spiritual experience, and then secondly, if you could, perhaps it's the same one, but could you also explain to us the most immense, the most powerful, unique, like individual spiritual experience that you've ever had?
Sure. Let's say 2017. That was a universal 1 year. That's numerology for those who may not be familiar with that. If you add the 2 plus the 0, that's 2 plus 1 is 3, and 3 plus 7 adds up to 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. And how this works is every 9 years, you start to see a change within these collectives. Um, it's pretty interesting when you take the time to go down the rabbit hole. But again, I want to make this very clear. I'm not here to prove my ego. This is about wisdom. Wisdom is knowing what to say, when to say. Knowledge is just knowing what to say. So if it is going to be a back and forth of whether it exists or not, that's not my battle. That's for you because you got to find out whether you wake up and tomorrow is going to be a good day for yourself. I like to talk about these type of topics simply because I believe that this is where the energy resides in this year of 2025. 2 plus 0 is 2, plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 is a very
Okay,
spiritual number. Yeah, okay.
okay, brother. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, listen, guys. We'll move on then to the next question, I suppose, which is, can you try and think about the future of humanity? I suppose we'll talk about the next 100 years, and then yeah, let's talk about the next 100 years. So, where do you see humanity going in the next 100 years? I'll call you out one by one for this. So, Shaker, the next 100 years of humanity, where do you see humanity going during that century?
I'm not sure. Uh, I mean, I think there's probably going to be some kind of syncing up. There's some kind of concerns people have about political matters. Some division between the sexes. They're not like syncing up smoothly. Sometimes there's like these kind of red pill, black pill kind of. There's the men versus the women kind of thing. Hopefully that gets sorted out. And there's some stuff about nuclear fusion and this kind of thing. There's AI and there's a lot of things on the horizon. Traveling to the moon again. Um, yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be, you know, uh, treatments for more illnesses. I mean, they probably have cured cancer by then. The many different types of cancer that have cured even more of them. Um, yeah, I mean, it'd be more about us changing ourselves, with technology and chemistry and things like that, and changing our DNA to transform ourselves into something else that's even more capable than we currently are. Right? We've already conquered the world, and then we're gonna go like a level beyond that, and we're gonna go up, you know, conquering the universe or something.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to, I believe, who's next? Just skeptical. We'll go to you. So yeah, in the next 100 years, what do you see is entail for humanity? Well, what's in the pipeline? You're muted, by the way. Just skeptical. If you're still there, I don't know if just skeptical is there. So we'll go on to escapism. Escapism. Oh, just skeptical left. Maybe he's going to come back. Escapism. What do you see is in the pipeline, perhaps for humanity in the next 100 years? Has escapism fallen asleep? Perhaps. Mo Wisdom, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, brother. We will ask you then. What do you see is in the pipeline for humanity in the next 100 years?
Um. All right. Do you mind if you go first? Could I hear your answer first?
Uh, okay. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll ask Sexual and then I'll go. Sexual, what's in the pipeline for humanity in the next 100 years? My God, I don't know what's happening, but everyone's bailing out. I can't hit.
All right. Did you ask me what's happening in 100 years?
Within the next 100 years, what do you think is going to happen for humanity? Or what will it mean to be a human by the end of that 100 years or during that 100 years?
Roughly the same thing as it does now.
Okay.
I mean, they're gonna have. There's gonna be a lot more trash to clean up, but hopefully we'll come up with a way by then to deal with a lot of that stuff. And yeah, hopefully we can see the cure of a lot of diseases. We'll see the major decline of animal agriculture. Yeah, definitely a lot more cyborg type of stuff. A lot more people with cybernetic prosthetics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the superhuman, because people are going to be having designer babies.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll be the same as Sexual there. I think that we're moving into the age of cyborgial kind of implants and genetic engineering, and there's going to be a period which I would say will be quite troubling, because it will be the haves and the have-nots will never be the gulf between them will never be such a deep and dismal trench. I mean, there's going to be people who have everything in terms of, like, aesthetics, intellectual ability, athleticism, longevity, vitality, health, good health in general. And then there's going to be like normal mortal humans who are not genetically enhanced and do not have the money that these other entities will have. So there's going to be this disparity that I would say, be unfortunately terrible for those who are on the wrong side of it. I mean, it'll be brilliant for those who are on the other side, who have the wealth and the genetically enhanced the biology. But for everybody else, I mean, we will feel subhuman, and we will feel. I mean, it will be like two species in a way. If they are human, we just got to look at the track record of how humans treat other species. If these enhanced humans view us as not human because we're not worthy of hanging out with them, breeding with them, marrying them,
I mean,
whatever it is.
honestly, it's already kind of like that in some ways.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be that on steroids.
There are but there already are the beautiful people. Like,
Oh
dude,
yeah, but you're not going
I was just in
to
LA
get the
recently.
elite. You're not going to get the elites there's going to be no Meghan Markles breaking out of the lower demographic into the elites. You know what I mean? It's going to be
not super high or something, but
it's not. It's highly unlikely to happen. I mean, if they've got the intellectual ability, the health, they're not going to need us, you know. But it's going to take a while for that to happen. Initially, there will be some back and throw, I suppose, but eventually, when there's enough of them, they won't need us, you know.
yeah,
And I think that will be.
I mean, there already is like this major like gap between like the people that are extremely aesthetic. You know, that word's becoming a lot more popular now. You know, people who have an aesthetic physique, who are, you know, doctors and lawyers or engineers, versus common plebs, and
Yeah,
then
I mean,
artists. You know,
there is already this, but there's not many people walking around who have everything going for them, you know. So this is the thing. It's going to be people with literally they're ticking all the boxes, and to me, that's going to be a very very strange world, you know. So yeah, that's kind of where I think we're going. I would like people to join. There are seats available, so please, Global's always on here chatting, but they never come on, unfortunately. I don't know why.
hey, did you get a premium account? Is that why like more than 6 people can come on now?
Yeah, it's a premium for now anyway. I just got a free trial of it, so I thought I'd give it a go. You know?
Oh.
But yeah, come on here, guys, if you want, and there are seats available. Whoever wants to come on, please come on. But yeah, so Mo Wisdom, I see us as becoming the disparity, perhaps becoming wider. Okay, but at the same time, the only hope against that is that we become universally egalitarian, like that somehow or other, the wealthy, the elite, give up their immense power and are benevolent and give out everything to everybody. But I mean, can you see that genuinely happening? I mean, the only hope is that the people who are doing these things, like the scientists, right, who discover these things, put some kind of lock on the systems and don't allow the elites to have absolute control of it. You know, maybe there will be some brilliant AI hacker who will be able to give everything to everybody somehow, or even empty the bank accounts of the elites and make them as powerless as anybody else. So, I mean, there is still some hope that I've said it on this channel before. I'm holding out for a heroic autist, basically, some brilliant mind who is hyper focused on some area and has this immense ability that no one else has. And they will be our savior if there is a savior. If there ever was a savior, they will be our savior. They will be able to hack into, for example, the AI system and do things for the whole of humanity rather than the few. But whether that will happen or not is another problem. I mean, we are farmed, we are schooled, we are socially engineered to follow the leader, we are educated, we are whipped, we are told what to do, and not many people can break the mold and be rebellious. So, yeah, especially, and unfortunately, the ones that do generally don't have the absolute skills necessary. So, it's not looking good, in my view, for average Joe, unfortunately.
Well, the next 100 years is pretty far out, man. If we start just even this year, we're gonna see some pretty significant changes. There's gonna be a lot of people that either, like you mentioned before, get with the program or get left behind. And 100 years from 2025 would be
Right.
pretty wild, man. Technology is gonna be on our side. AI, or it can be against us as well. AI is going to be more prevalent than ever. However, 100 years, that's pretty hard to map out. But I would just say that there's going to be more, similar to what sexual experimentalists was saying. You're going to see more of that like cyborg aspect of our medicine becoming very more advanced and battery like. Have you guys seen that Netflix series called Carbon Extracted, I believe is the name of it?
No.
Altered Carbon. Was that it?
Yeah, Altered Carbon. There it is. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that is kind of what I think. 100 years is really hard. That's like super
Yeah,
far.
yeah. I
I
mean, you
think
raise a good point there, Mo Wisdom, because I've been reading lately about the kind of quantum computing, and they reckon when that gets going, they'll be able to do 1,000 years of computing, like calculations in a second. It's going to be like the speed we're going to get to in computing ability is just it's mind-boggling how we're just on the cusp of that now. So I think you're right. I mean, 100 years when you've got that ability in computing and calculations, research, etc. It's probably like 3 billion years if you've got that much ability. So I think the next 100 years are going to be absolutely wild, insane, and really. Let's just hope it it goes okay in the short term, let alone the long term, as you say. Yeah, sorry for butting in, but yeah, keep going. Sorry.
no problem. Some people are saying by 2040 they expect China to be the number one leading force of power, and that's not really. I don't really see that being too far as a stretch. Just if you look at how things are working right now, what I was trying to explain to you guys earlier is what China knows from a very young age. Chinese metaphysics is what they abide by, and they've been using it for a very long time. They started the Chinese Olympics, and I give credit to Gary Grenberg, GG33. He knew in 2008, August 8th at 8:08 p.m., the Chinese started the Olympics because 8 happens to be the number of material money. And when you do things like that and you plant these seeds at the right time, you see the fruition become a lot more beneficial in your favor. So even by 2040, I think that's going to be a very interesting decade. From here, 2025 to 2035, 2040, because drone warfare is just really advanced.
Yeah,
And
the cyber warfare, the robotics, as you say, the Boston technologies, Boston Dynamics, um, drone wars,
Boston Robotics or Boston
Stargate,
Dynamics. Yeah.
Stargate. I mean, the Skynet that they're building. I mean, it's about to get wild. It's about to get,
Yeah. It's really big on the West Coast right now. Like, well, I was just in LA or in Hollywood, and they have food delivery drones, droids, basically.
no way.
It's kind
That's
of it
crazy.
kind of looks yeah, it's kind of like something out of Star. It looks like Star. It's like it feels like Star Wars. Like you just see this little like box on wheels just ride past you on the sidewalk. You know what I mean? On its own, and it's delivering people food. And what else? Well, in San Francisco, we got the self-driving taxi system now. Um, it's all happening. Very, but yeah, the dogs. If you guys have seen um, the Black Mirror episode, Metal, I think it's called Metalhead, um, about the dystopian future where the Boston Robotics, was it Boston Dynamics or Boston Robotics? I don't know. They have the Boston Robotics like Terminator dogs that are
Boston Dynamics.
basically Boston Dynamics. They're the Terminator dogs that are very advanced. Um, And yeah, that's those dogs are pretty much at that point, right? Getting to that point right now where they're Terminator material. They are equipped. They have a gun on them, and it's like they'll be able to run you down real quickly. Um, yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely. If you're super attached to this material realm, no there's no guess that you're not going to be attached to fear as well. Fear is, an emotion, and if that's something that you're privy to, a lot of people would say, that's a low vibration, a low emotion, a lower emotion, but a higher emotion is going to be something like enlightenment, bliss, and love. So I think this year we're going to see a big increase of people reverting back to that, because as much as we want to start to think that technology is something that we all want and we all want to see and we all want to be a part of, that's just not what human beings are connected to. That's, we're advancing forward. We didn't start from forward and start moving backwards. No, just 20 years ago, it was uncommon to have an iPhone, right? But now you see iPhones in 5, 6, 7 year olds' hands, TikTok in 5, 6, 7 year olds' hands, and it's putting people into a crippling point to where you're gonna have to decide, yo, what is it? Do you want to really be a cyborg? Or do you want to be a human? And what that entails
Lord.
is being a
Mm.
you have to go back. You have to go back and do your research. You got to go backwards sometimes, do a little bit of studying, do some research, and then move forwards, because we're just not designed to take as much. What is it? They have the little patches for removing the static from the technology that we happen to be around all day. You don't want to be around technology all day, because it alters
Mm.
what your biochemical makeup is, and you're not able
Okay,
to.
guys. Good points there. Signal says architecture becomes more and more minimal until buildings are just cubes and shipping container hostels, and there are police drones hovering on every street. I mean, yeah, and the satellites are able to zoom up, zooming in to see you, what you're doing. I mean,
Yeah, well, you know what
I made a
David Icke says
jokey.
about that.
One second, section. I made a jokey sci-fi video on this channel before about some kind of like wave technology where there are these signals that they put out, and basically when humans walked around, they messed with the signals, and they were able to see a 3D outline of where you were at any one moment, and if something happened, they could zoom to that point in time and then just rewind. They were constantly recording it, okay, so they were able to rewind the wave energy to see where the you went, and see where, so they can see where you came from to do whatever the crime was, for example. And I don't think we're. I know that sounds insane, but we're not that far away from that type of shit, Eventually, at least with we can do it with the cameras from satellites, but I'm sure there will be some kind of ability to look at the way humans have a signal or interfere with a signal in like some kind of wave energy. So if there is like a Wi-Fi network or some kind of citywide energy field, they will be able to see distortions in it due to human activity, and they will be able to eventually, probably using AI, they will be able to monitor that and see where people are, where they're moving about, where they're coming from, etc. And we might even have unique imprints on it. I mean, as insane as that sounds, I think it's within the realm of possibility.
It's like our own. We each have our own IP address, kind of thing.
That already exists. That's already existing.
Okay,
You
just
know,
before we bring
the Tic Tac technology, for example, that is here. That's on Earth. We're not privy to it, but it does exist.
all right.
Right. There's military
Shaker,
devices that.
Shaker
Go
says
ahead.
in chat that he might be going to sleep. So do you want to say goodbye, Shaker? If that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I just wanted to say goodbye. It was nice talking to everyone. Chat to you again.
Hopefully,
Fruitful
hopefully
conversation.
Until
great to
next
you.
time.
Bye.
Take care, Shaker. Just skeptical. Did you want to come on here and say something about where you see humans going in the next 100 years?
Um, well, that's a deep question. I don't know. Will we even still be around in the next 100 years? I don't know. It's I don't know. It feels like the world is headed towards more and more of a surveillance dystopia, like in the book. What is it? 1984 by George Orwell. So it seems that's the direction that the world is headed in. It's becoming more and more of a technological dystopia where um, technology will increasingly encroach on people's freedoms and privacy, and um, we like little by little our freedoms are being taken away right before our eyes, and we're just gonna sit back and allow it to happen and allow these billionaires to basically run and control every aspect of our lives. So it feels like if we do survive to the next 100 years, it feels like the world is gonna become a technological dystopia, essentially.
How would you see that dystopia playing out? Do you think it's inevitable? Do you really think that's inevitable? You think there's no way out of that? I'm just skeptical.
Yeah, it feels that way because it seems like um, humans across the world just seem to just lie down and accept anything that the the elites throw our way, you know. So and we seem to be comfortable allowing technology to be a part of our lives. So I don't see any pushback or any um, resistance from most people when it comes to technology. Um, becoming such an integral part of our lives, and it um it feels like something that's gonna happen like little by little. Like so, as we've seen, like throughout human history, as technology advances, it started it little by little it started to integrate itself into our lives. Like with for example, the computer. Back I mean I can't remember when the first computer was created, but there was the first computer back in I don't know 1950 something or whatever, and it was this big massive thing. And that little by little over time, it eventually got small enough to be able to fit in the palm of our hands and for us to be able to carry around. And so the next step would be, I don't know, I guess a sort of transhumanistic thing where like we merge ourselves with um, some form of technology, and that's how it becomes like an almost like inescapable part of ourselves as humans and our lives. We eventually become one with, like I guess, AI or something, and that's how it integrates itself into our lives and it becomes a dystopia.
Wow. Okay. Guys, have you got anything to say on that? Mo Wisdom first.
Yep, I do. That's actually pretty accurate to what they were saying in the movie Akira that they published in 1988. It's a really good movie. You guys should check it out because a lot of these creators they can't really put the information that they would like to say, or they can't really stand on top of a podium and say it publicly because they have people that they love, care about, and things that they have going for themselves. But they can put it in the art, and if you're wise enough or if you're inspired enough, you'll be able to discern what they're actually trying to say in these movies. Another movie is In Time. That one was created in 2011 by Andrew Nicole. I would like to say that's like the 21st version, 21st century version of the Matrix, and it talks about how time is really the main currency. And the Matrix in 1999. That's a really good movie as well. Go ahead and check that one out too. But
Amazing
AI is
movie.
gonna, yeah, it is good. AI is gonna continue to grow, but more so than AI. I'm sticking to this. I really think that spirituality is gonna make a really big increase. There's gonna be some people that are able to connect with others beyond the material, such as like telepathy or intuitive healing. You can see there's videos on YouTube of Chinese men curing specific diseases just from channeling the chi and the ki force throughout their body. Now I understand it's like wow, how can you do that? It takes time, meditation, practice, and the true understanding of what it actually is. And that's why I say metaphysics is going to be such a hand in hand step to growing your spirituality because it gives you heavenly blueprint, the material blueprint of what you were born with when you first came into this existence. So I expect a big change and increase on occult wisdom, metaphysical wisdom, and spirituality overall, starting from 2025 and onwards.
Okay, thank you for that. And sexual. What about you then? Anything in reply to what Jay was saying there? You're muted at the moment, sexual. I don't know if he's around, guys. So yeah, if anybody else wants to hop on here, you can do so now. Other
Yeah,
than
I'm
that,
here.
oh, you're here. The link
Yeah.
is in there, guys, in chat if you want to come on. Sorry, go on there, sexual.
Yeah, you ever watch Charlie Veach?
Yeah, now and again.
I have not.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, I've seen it.
I like something he said. He'll show the sort of the backdrop of certain cities in England, and I'll show the Victorian buildings compared to the modern brutalist structures, and he is really good at explaining how because he said something because he's he'll show how he'll show the Victorian building and be like, how does that make you feel? And then they'll show the modern building. Is how does that make you feel? Is because they clearly cared more about people's mental health. I don't know if that's true, but it is true. He was saying something about how they cared more about how people felt when they looked at a structure back, 200 years ago or whatever, 150, 200 years ago. 100, 150, 200. Yeah. So, if you look at those buildings, it feels a lot better to look at them than it does to look at a modern building. And it changes the way you feel about whatever area you're walking in. I know, when I'm walking in downtown Boston and I'm looking at the old architecture there, it is so much better. It feels better to be in that area.
Mm. I mean, I feel the same. I don't like hyper, modern architecture. I don't like walking around with all these glass buildings with super straight edges and sharp corners. And to me, they're inhumane. They're all kind of the samey, and they're kind of clinical. They're utilitarian. There's no character. There's no individuality, and
that's everything. That's everything. If you look at any
there's no personality.
any
There's no
product,
personality.
anything that's produced before the 21st century, in terms of someone could argue, oh no, stuff's made better now, it's more efficient or whatever, but it's not more. It's not
It's
more
probably
durable.
it's probably post Second World War actually when all this shit started happening, when they started building these concrete monstrosities, and
Everything, whether it's architecture, whether it's
we're losing you. Sorry, you're yeah,
well, can you hear me?
you're back.
Yeah. Whether it's architecture, whether it's clothing, knickknacks, doodads, whatever it is, there used to be all kinds of cool appliances and stuff that people would use, and everything was made with really strong materials, and it would last for ages, and it looked really cool. It felt better. It was just all around a much more interesting thing, whatever it was.
Those damn marketeers and their ability to get us to buy mass-produced stuff that is cheap to make due to economies of scale, and yet we pay astronomical prices to put on shit clothes, shit footwear, to ultimately go to shit jobs and live in shit houses,
Yeah.
shit apartments.
Yep. And not that I believe in the woo woo stuff, but I do think it's David Icke paints an interesting picture where he's like reason everything looks like that now and everything is like that now is because the Alcons, the Alcons are trying to turn reality into theirs so that they can live here and that they can assimilate here. And he's like about how basically the Archons have no creativity
Well,
and they envy human creativity, and so they're trying to
you've
like
just
destroy human creativity.
you've just brought me on to my next point, and this is kind of related to what you're saying, and that is we as humans are not perhaps the finished article. So, what are we as humans? We are a position on a linear movement of life from the past to the future, from a common ancestor that was one um, single cell that began replicating, and it moved onwards and evolved into all these different species that eventually became us. And perhaps what are we as humans? Well, we are the predecessor of whatever will be after us. And perhaps what we bring in ultimately will not be biological life, it will be AI. Maybe we're just here to pass the baton on to a non biological life, AI. Maybe we will go extinct at some point. And maybe we're just here to pass the baton on to an AI life system that will proliferate and spread through the universe. And maybe if you were able to come back in 1,000 or 2,000 years or whatever it will be, you would see just like robots flying around, zooming around the universe, starting
Yeah, well, we're just gonna be
AI like
floating. We're just gonna be floating orbs, man. Like we're just gonna be floating orbs that have.
I don't know if it will be us. I'm just saying maybe we'll create something. Maybe that's what we are as
I
humans.
mean, that's
We're the
what
creator
we're
of the
moving
next.
towards. We're moving
Yeah.
towards floating orbs that get to live in a state of eternal bliss.
I don't know about that, but we'll see. We'll see. I suppose. Just skeptical.
I
Any?
think that
Sorry, Mo
that's the,
Wisdom. Just go ahead, Mo Wisdom, and then just skeptical. Go ahead.
yeah, sexual. I think you kind of do believe in the unseen. You're just not publicly trying to admit it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
It's not woo woo until I could show you that it's a
Mo
lot more
Wisdom. Is
logical.
there anything you can do for this man, spiritually speaking, live on this live stream?
Yeah,
Can you say a
tell me,
prayer? Can you manifest something for him? Can you
tell me your
impose
birthday.
something on him? Impose something beneficial on him spiritually?
Yeah, tell me your birthday.
no,
He probably doesn't
I'm
want to
not
do. He
playing
probably
that
doesn't want to do
game.
that. He probably doesn't want to do that live on the internet.
No,
You
if
want to
it's
say
so
birthday?
spiritual and divine, a birthday doesn't matter.
Well, like I said, I'm not into the woo woo. I'm into the metaphysics, the things that you can't see. It's still logic, but I'm not gonna sit here and do a cold wisdom. That's for the tarot card readers. There's a difference.
Okay, just skeptical. Have you got anything to add at this juncture?
Yeah. What you were saying about what it means to be human and how we're not the finished article, it reminds me of something I've heard someone say, where they said that it was a quote saying that the the purpose of what it means to be human is to create what it means to be human. Basically saying that um the what it means to be human is like it's an evolving thing. It's not something like fixed or set in stone. Like we as humans get to decide like what it means to be human. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that's um that's been decided already, or something that we've already like discovered, like it's something that we're consciously creating as we I guess we continue existing as a species. And so what you just said about how we're not a lean we're sorry we're on a linear trajectory, and we could just be like um one chapter in the story of life in the universe, and we're just our purpose is to just pass the baton on to like AI or something, so that the universe can continue the story of life through AI. That honestly that honestly can make sense, and could be true. And yeah, maybe that's what our purpose is to just keep passing the baton on to whatever other species or whatever other life form, so that the story of life just keeps evolving and keeps on going, and that there isn't really an endpoint to what it means to be human, or what it means to exist as a being. You know what I mean? It's a continuous evolving story.
It's a
Yeah.
yawn.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, guys. This has been quite a good chat. I've enjoyed parts of it very much. Thank you very much for coming on. I tell you what we do now. It's coming up to 2 hours, so I think it's a good point to close up. Uh, well, we can all say something in closing about what it means to be human, and also your hopes for humanity. Yeah. What do you hope humanity becomes? That would be the closing remark. Okay, Mo Wisdom. What do you hope humanity will become in closing?
Hope that, and thank you for hosting this show. It's pretty cool. First time being here. Seems like
You're
there's a lot
welcome.
of
Please come again.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Seems like there's a lot of on the fence individuals that are looking to further their information about life and what it is to be human. But what I hope to see for people overall is just finding that self mastery, getting back to self. And for those that didn't really quite know who they were growing up, or their parents didn't have enough time to, really teach them about the important things in life, or, someone that just always felt that didn't quite fit in. That's just a sign to dive deeper into the self, learn about yourself. And how I like to do that is through metaphysics. Again, it may not be for everyone, but if it is, then, carry it. If it's not, leave it on the table. And what I want to see for everyone overall is just, LOVE. Just find out what works for you and treat the next man with respect. You quite never know who you're talking to. So, yeah, I just want to see
Mo
peace
Wisdom.
overall.
Mo Wisdom, thank you very much for those lovely sentiments. Thank you so much for coming on, and we hope to see you again. Sexual experiment. Would you like to go next? What do you hope for humanity going forwards in the future? What do you hope, even if it's in your view possibly not going to happen? But what are your hopes for humanity?
That we all live in a state of eternal bliss forever and ever.
Oh, okay. As an orb.
Form suits anyone's preferences.
Okay. That's an interesting hope. Thank you very much.
And
And
my closing statement would be: find your happy thought, hold on to it, and you can fly.
and you can fly. How lovely. Okay, and just skeptical then. In closing, what are your hopes for humanity's future or the future?
Well, I just hope that, um, as unlikely as it seems, I just hope that we're able to end up coming together and living in harmony and respecting each other, and not only respecting each other, but respecting all the other life forms on this planet, that we share this planet with, as much as we possibly can. And yeah, that we rise up against um, the the elites who are in power and um, who continuously attempt to divide us and keep us at odds with each other, and that we come together and overthrow these toxic, evil power structures that hold us back, and that we're able to create a new world where each of us live happily in communion with each other and with the rest of nature.
Wow, very well said, Just Skeptical. Fantastic words to end the show on. I'll say thank you very much to all of you for participating. I'm really enjoying these streams actually, and it's a nice way to chill out and also expand the brain membrane and try and think about things a little better. And it's all very good to hear people's insights and thoughts, even if we don't always agree. It's great to try and see where other people are coming from. So I look forward to next time already. That's all the January streams, I believe, done. We might be able to do one more if I can get back to my place on time, but there won't. I doubt there'll be any streams this weekend. If there are, it's going to be a surprise, but I don't think there will be. Be a surprise for me, that is. There will be more streams in February, obviously, with topics that have already been announced. Let me just see what we're going to do in February, if I can find it. I'll have a quick look here on mymedium.com. I put something there about February. So February 2025. Let me have a look here. Love, loss, and loneliness. Exploring the complexity of human relationships. So love, loss, and loneliness. So we'll be talking about the human experiences of relationships with other humans. So human connection or disconnection, etc., etc. So something to look forward to, or not. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us tonight, today, this morning, whatever it is, wherever you are. And yeah, be well, be lucky, and thank you very much.